You're listening to the Light Novel Podcast. Visit us online at lightnovelpodcast.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Light Novel Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the anime premiering in fall of 2018 that are all based on light novels, and there's a couple of novel-ish type ones that we're sneaking in here as well. Tonight, I have with me Bio-Gundam.
Yo.
I have Jean-Luc.
Hello there.
I have Kyle.
Hola.
And I have Terrence.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So, first off, as always, we will start with the news. There's a couple of things, honestly, and actually what's funny is, appropriately enough, a lot of it has to do with series getting new anime based on them. So, first off, just a brief one that came out today that I saw was ReZero is getting a second OVA, which... Again, kind of funny because we're actually going to be talking about the first OVA tonight. That's really quick because they haven't said anything other than that. Vertical at I think it was the Atlanta Anime Convention this weekend, just announced for Monogatari series that Tsuki Monogatari is going to be releasing in March of 2019. And that for Koyomi Monogatari, they are actually splitting that into two different books. And the first one will be released in June of 2019. In licensing news, we have Seven Seas announcing the license of Skeleton Knight in Another World. One day, a gamer played video games until he fell asleep, as if that ever happens. And when he woke up, he found himself in the game world as a skeleton, equipped with the powerful weapons and armor of his avatar, but stuck with its frightening skeletal appearance. Ark has to find a place for himself in this new fantastical land. All his hopes for a quiet life are dashed when he crosses paths with a beautiful elven warrior, setting him on a journey full of conflict and adventure. According to Light Novel Database, this one is complete at 8 volumes. I think the most recent one came out March in 2018. So that one is coming out. In terms of anime... actually, you know what? While I'm on the whole licensing thing, let's talk about Cross Infinite World has licensed Emeth, Island of Golems. In Emeth's world, the manufacturing of golems, automatic dolls that move according to human will, has become the norm. This sets the stage for an epic adventure against the backdrop of St. Roland's Archipelago, where the Torah Church presides over all creation and operation of these golems. Step into the story through the perspective of Cliff, a boy living in the slums of a Torah-controlled island who so fervently wants to become a golem tamer that he has begun to illegally build one. His mundane world is suddenly shattered one day when he crosses paths with a mysterious girl. It's always the mysterious girls that shatter our lives, eh? This meeting sets the gears in motion for a thrilling journey involving a powerful golem, corruption, and the very fate of the island itself.
You know what they say, behind every powerful man is a powerful woman.
A more powerful woman. And you know what? I think this one's notable because it was actually written by the guys who did if I'm correct, the story for Final Fantasy Zero, right?
Oh, fuck
Is
yeah.
that what I read?
Also, they also did the story for the visual novel Root Double, which is a pretty interesting mystery visual novel. It's kind of in the same vein as like 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, like that kind of mystery story. If you've read that. Yeah,
and this one also was like an award winner for the Square Enix novel series, novel competition. So yeah, I mean, it's that is interesting. It's nice to see Cross Infinite World starting to spread out a little bit into actual published works, as opposed to pretty much most of their stuff up to this point has just been directly dealing with authors who are doing web novels. So it's kind of interesting to see them starting to expand out into actual published works as well. Getting back to anime news, Kenja no Mago, the sage's grandson, is getting an anime. The original story begins when a powerful wizard and sage who has saved his world from calamity many times comes upon a baby whom he adopts and names Shin. The baby is actually a man from our society, like shocking, reincarnated into the sage's world. The sage raises Shin, separated from the rest of society, and teaches him in the ways of magic. It is only when Shin turns 15 years old and sets out on his journey that the sage remembers that he forgot to teach Shin the common sense and ways of this particular world. And so Shin goes to the capital of the Al-Shaed kingdom to enroll in the capital's magic academy, not realizing that he is OP as pho and everybody is going to be scared of him.
Yeah, I've actually read like the first 10 chapters of the manga for this.
Yeah, is it any good?
Nah, it's just kind of basic stuff. Like if you want a okay time passer, then this will be your series for you.
All right, fair enough. Then we've got, further in anime news, we have Mao-sama Retry is getting anime. The story centers on Akira Ono, a regular guy, shocking, who works at a company that manages an online game. He often plays the game as his character Mao, the Dark Lord. But one day, when he logs on, he is whisked into the game's fantasy world as his character. Again, shocking. There, he meets a one-legged girl. I don't know. Okay. And begins his adventures alongside her. But as he is
That's shocking in another sense.
I know, right? But as he is a powerful Dark Lord, various nations and holy maidens journey to defeat him, and he stirs up trouble everywhere he goes. And I bet you he stirs up some of those holy maidens, too.
I'm starting to see a theme and a pattern here. I just can't put my finger on it.
I know, eh? It's like... Well, if these things are, like, heavily ishy, I'm going to say it's because How Not to Summon a Demon Lord did well. That's going to be my, that's my take on the whole thing.
Well, I've gone into that series a little bit.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. It's mostly about an older guy, so you're not going to see all the teenage shenanigans.
Oh, okay.
And... yeah, it's just essentially him wandering around. He's trying to help the girl. It's not that she has one leg, but that she can't walk because the leg's injured or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and most of the time he's just trying to keep a low profile because if they do realize who he is, everybody's going to be trying to kill him.
I'm a little glad that because I was thinking this was going to be some weird fetish show with like a girl like hopping along.
Well, I didn't. I'll admit, when I read this, I looked at the covers. I was like, "There's no girl on here with only one leg. I don't understand." I'm like, "There's no way that she features in the book and she's not on the covers. Like, come on." So that at least makes a little bit more sense to me. And so it sounds a bit more than like Death March to the Parallel World, Rhapsody in terms of like the guy kind of wandering around. I mean. It's probably a little bit more harem-esque by the sounds of it, but in terms of being like an older guy at heart and like going into the world and becoming OP and just traveling around, maybe? I don't know. I think the last thing that we have for news-wise is they have officially announced that My Youth Romantic Comedy As Wrong As I Expected is ending at Volume 14, and it is set to ship in November. So that will be the end of that series, which of course we do have in English. So, well, the author took, years off in between, what was it, Volume 12 and, Volume 11 and 12?
Yeah, the story is he originally planned to end it at 12, and so he had it written out and everything good to go, but the editors, the publishers didn't like it for whatever reason, and then he was forced to go back to the drawing board, pretty much started over from scratch. And then he got involved in other projects. I believe he wrote the Qualia Code.
Qualia Code.
Anime.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So,
yes.
So he just got sidetracked and...
Yeah, it kept getting pushed back, and then the final volume turned into the final 2-3 volumes, something like that.
Yeah, it would have been 3 because I know it was because I don't know how new this news is, because I seem to recall, like, Volume 12 came out on the top 10 a while back, like a couple months ago, and I'm pretty sure at that time they said that they thought there were only going to be 2 more and that they would be released close together. So they are saying that Volume 13 is coming out in, like, October, and then Volume 14 is only going to be a month later. So I kind of wonder if I wonder if 13 and 14 were just one big, long book and they'd split them for the sake of, money.
Yeah, well, the fans pretty much knew this was coming.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Cool.
I have 2 more news items. If
yeah, please.
You can choose to include them or not, but I'll go with them. So one of them was actually, news. I don't know, but it was on One Piece Books Facebook page under their Mikagura School Suite post on the manga. They posted below. Somebody asked, is there any chance to see the second volume of the novel?
Yeah.
And so One Piece Books said, yes, sorry for the delay. We're working on it. Thanks for waiting.
Really? Now, yeah. That is, like, because it has been a long time since they released Volume 1. Like, I thought it just tanked, and so they let the series go.
Yeah, I thought it was like Sound Euphonium 2. I don't know if that one is also just a really long delay, but I would think that one is probably more likely a cancellation. This one, it's just bizarre that it was such a long delay.
Well, I think that with Sound Euphonium, I know that Yen only licensed the 1 book. Because, if you read that 1 volume, like, it has a pretty satisfactory ending. It's not like it doesn't really have to keep going. Whereas if you read, like, Volume 1 of Makikugura or whatever it is, if you read that one, like, it totally ends on a cliffhanger. Like it's obvious that there's way more story to be told. So that was why I was kind of like, wow, that's weird that, and I know that when they announced that they had licensed the series, not just, 1 book or whatever, right? So yeah, I honestly thought they had just bitten the bullet and were not going to publish it, and we're just basically paying the licensing fees to the publisher just to deal with it. But I guess I was wrong. Okay, well, to be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of it. The main character's narration is kind of annoying, to be honest.
He's kind of an idiot, like most shonen protagonists.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's a girl. It's a girl. And she is annoying. Oh my god, she is
who
like.
is she?
She's like this hyper crazy. Oh my god, I can't even remember. Like I said, it's been a long time since I read it because it had to be at least a year ago that it came out, maybe longer.
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah, I think.
Like I said, I had all been given up on it. I figured, okay, well, it's done, it's dead. So, and what was the other news item that you had there?
Yeah, so Soul Press, they're recruiting voice actors for new trailers. They actually posted that on their social media. So if anybody is out there, an aspiring voice actor, you can go contact them if you want to be in some trailers. I don't know, for some upcoming licenses. Not sure. So Soul Press.
Wow.
Yep.
Maybe I should audition.
I should also audition as well.
Well, I won't audition.
I won't.
Well, they did trailers for their light novels, but if I recall, I don't think there was any speech in them. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, there definitely was.
Was there?
Yeah, so they both had a female voice in them. Yep. And they were kind of supposed to be the characters.
Right. Okay. Well, it's interesting that they're doing that, but I guess I'm thinking maybe that's because they're also a visual novel publisher.
Yeah, it's kind of iffy if it's for light novels or visual novels, although the visual novels, they usually just do like the opening animation, like the opening video.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, you would think if they were, it would be kind of weird to have voice actors for trailers and not include that you would then have to voice the game.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense too because they're Japanese voiced, so you wouldn't really need any English voice actor.
Ohayo gozaimasu. Gatari,
Right.
monogatari. Doso, dasa. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Nice. There we go. We're good. Okay. Okay, so with all that news out of the way, we are going to get into the anime that are coming out for the fall 2018 season. So starting in October, so in just a couple of weeks. And so there's actually quite a few. We're going to go over sort of the ones that are, well, kind of, we're fudging it a little bit because some of them are actually considered novels as far as Japan is considered. But, you know, it's all good. It's close enough, right? So the first one we're going to start off with is a anime called Kaze ga Tsuyoku Fuiteru. Kakeru, a former elite runner at high school, is chased for stealing food. He is saved by a Kansei University student, Haiji, who is also a runner. Haiji persuades Kakeru to live in the old apartment Chikuseisu, where he plans to team up with fellow residents to enter Hakone Ekiden Marathon, one of the most prominent university races in Japan. Kakeru soon finds out that all of the residents except for Haiji and himself are complete novices. And it's got 2 novels that apparently this is adapting from. So it's a sports anime. I mean...
Boo!
I don't know.
You
Yeah.
sports!
Training montage. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 fire!
I would say tournament arc, but I don't think that's quite going to fit in that particular one.
Yeah, sport anime, can you feel the hype? Whoa!
Yes, there you go. And it's not the only one. We have more to go to. Next, we will talk a lot more about a couple of the titles on this list because there are some big titles, and they are actually some of them available in English. But we'll just breeze through these ones that, you know, people would yell at us if we don't include because they are technically novels. We're also getting a movie, Mobile Suit Gundam NT, which I know might seem odd, but it is, in fact, based on a light novel. And Kyle, I think you were saying you knew a little bit more about this one, right?
Yes. This is actually the sequel / finale to Gundam Unicorn. So we had the OVA series several years back that covered volumes 1 through 8, I believe.
And then we had the shitty TV adaptation.
Yeah. And then, but they left out the final volume. And so now we're finally getting it in Mobile Suit Gundam NT.
Yeah, but the problem is if you know anything about UC, you know it goes to shit anyway, because, like, they have, like, the Jupiter Pirates, and then there's the fucking Victory Gundam, oh my fucking lord. Yeah, I know it's a little contradictory because I have Gundam in my name and I enjoy Gundam, but I'm not really... Like, I may watch this, like, a couple of years down the line, but I don't really give enough of a fuck about Unicorn's story to really care, even if it is UC.
So now Unicorn then, so which came first, the anime or the light novels?
Very certain that it was the light novel.
Huh, okay. All right. Just because I've seen, I mean, you know, again, like in my top 10 videos, there's always these light novels popping up that are adaptations of anime, so I kind of wondered which way it went. So, but it's obviously with Gundam being as big a series as it is, I guess it's not that surprising. There's all sorts of multimedia projects that are originals.
There's light novels, there's video games, there's literally hentai and manga and anime and video games and tabletop RPGs.
Yes. Yeah, so the light novel series started in 2007, and the anime aired in 2011.
Okay. Yeah, so then, yeah, you'd be probably right then that it would be based on the light novels. Okay, cool. All right, next up we have Tsurune, Kazemai Koko Kyodobu. You know, I should really have one of you guys do these titles because you're so much better at pronunciations than I am. The story follows Minato Narumiya. Minato played Japanese archery in middle school, but after a certain incident, he ran away from the sport. In high school, Minato meets new friends, and together as part of their school's archery club, they aim to win the prefectural tournament. This is based on a single novel that was released. Again, it's another sports anime.
Yay!
And this one, and dude, this one, Tournament Arc.
Oh boy.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So that's that one. Although, you know what, I have to admit, there's a part of me that's kind of like, I kind of am more interested in seeing an archery anime, because I'm kind of like, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, it's not the most physically, impactful sport, right? Like, like we've seen like them do badminton most recently, and well, beach volleyball. But but of course, they're all sports with a lot of physical movement and sort of, that really can sort of benefit from that anime style. Like, archery just seems a little too stoic for me to think that that's gonna.
Well,
so I'm interested to see how they do.
If I wanted to see an anime about archers, I would just watch Fate Stay Night.
well, the thing about archery, it's actually taught in Japanese schools. So, like you have club of archery. So, it's makes sense that eventually we had an anime about that.
Yeah, because samurai, before they became swordsmen, they were like mounted horsemen archers, and they'd have like duels on horseback, trying to like knock each other off their horses with bows and arrows.
Oh no, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense culturally, but I'm just interested to see what they do to make it work, like whether they do it more of a.
Oh, I just wanted to provide context for people who don't know that, because not everyone knows that samurai were like originally horse-mounted archers or other stuff. I'm just providing some context.
Oh no, fair enough, and Jean-Luc's comment too that they teach it in school. Like, yeah, it makes sense, but I'm just curious to see how they play this out. I think it'll be played more like a slice of life as opposed to like a sports type anime.
Yeah,
like
probably.
I'd rather see like Japanese Robin Hood.
Yeah, like a march comes in like a lion, though, it could be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Okay, so coming next, we have now. We'll probably talk a little bit about this.
You want me to do this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so next anime we have Ore ga suki nano wa imoto dakedo imoto janai.
Thank you. You do that so much more beautifully than I do. Suzuka Nagami is a beautiful third-year middle school student who has excellent grades and is the student council president. She wrote a novel about a little sister who dotes on her older brother, and the novel wins a light novel award. After they discuss the matter, Yu is the one who debuts as a proxy light novel author instead of Suzuka, which is this is like the worst description ever, because they don't even say who Yu is. Yu is her older brother. Instead of...
Gasp!
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't understand the title.
Why? I didn't see. What's the actual translation of the title then?
Well, the title, like, it's like... The one I like is my little sister, but she's not my little sister.
Well,
but in the synopsis, there's nothing that explains where that title could come from. Like, are they just like not blood related, which is
of
like
course that's what's going to happen.
Main idea of those kind of story. But,
Come on, Jean-Luc, you know better than that. You know exactly that's what's going to happen.
Don't they both have purple hair?
Yeah, I know, but like I was expecting maybe something original for once.
So basically, I guess the gist then is that she has her brother take credit for the light novel as opposed to her, and I'm guessing that's my guess is that's basically just because she thought it would be embarrassing, because she would assume everybody would assume that it was her writing because she's got an older brother complex. But I don't see how that's any better than him putting the book out and making it sound like he has a younger sister complex.
Yeah.
Well, that's the deep question. What's worse, thinking that you have a big older brother complex, or have a sister or a siscon? Like, this is the big debate. What's worse?
This is the philosophical argument that this book will delve into the depths of to give us a true understanding. No, anyway. Probably not. It's probably like heavily Ishi and you know, it's just another Aramonga sensei probably. But in Japan, there's 6 books, apparently, of this one. So, hey, you know, it's... I really have no idea how much they're going to cover of this series, because I don't know anything about it. Now, a big one that we're going to discuss, and I know it's going to really be discussed. Certain Magical Index, season number
Fuck
3.
yeah! You're not living your life correctly!
Can you hear the firework?
Oh my god. Okay. I don't even really think I need to say what this one is about, because I'm pretty...
It's a battle between magic and science. You have the main character punching people in the face because they're not living their life correctly. And then there's, scientists and espers and different factions fighting each other for political control. There's magic, there's demons, there's angels, there's all this fucking cool shit. There's politics. Fuck yeah, why wouldn't you like the show? Problem is, the main character is fucking bland as sin.
It's also about that non-specific magical index.
Who doesn't even do anything, despite the fact that she's her name is literally on the title. She only does stuff that's major plot point, but aside that she's pretty fucking useless. All she does is complain, buy Toma, and eat all his food.
Well, you know.
Well, she's like Pikachu.
No, Misaka's like Pikachu.
Oh my god, Jean-Luc, you just created the newest index meme of all time.
Someone draw this, send it to us.
We need her in her nun's habit, but with the ears and the rosy cheeks and Pika. Oh my god.
They did a OVA somewhat like that called Index 10, where she's I don't know, 6 inches tall, the size of a rat or something, and she just keeps on bugging Toma.
Oh my god! So so we're right on point. Okay,
that was fun.
So now we've talked a little bit about this. So what do you guys think? Is this going to finish? We said what? There's about 10 volumes that they'd have to cover to finish the series. 9. Okay. Will they do it? Because Kyle, you said they just announced it's going to be how many episodes?
Yes, they just confirmed it a couple hours from this recording that it will be 26 episodes long.
Whoa.
Yay.
So the first 2 seasons were each about, 24, 26 episodes as well?
Yeah.
Around there.
And they covered how many volumes? The first
6 to 8.
No.
Well, the first 2 season covered until
15.
13.
Okay, so 6 and 7, roughly. Is that right?
Yeah.
You index fans?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
13 volumes.
Okay. So, in order to finish this, they have to do 9. Do we think... You guys were thinking they probably will just finish out this series?
Well, that would come to 3 episodes per volume. So it's possible. And then there's there's volumes 17 and 18, which are part of a single arc. And then 20, 21, and 22, which are also part of a single arc. So that'll help them kind of mesh the volumes together just so they could have coherent storytelling from episode to episode.
Right. So we're thinking that they may pull the Don Machi thing and devote 1 episode to 1 novel in certain parts just to get it out of the way.
Yeah, but there's a problem with that because in this particular part of the series, they introduce the main third character, and a lot of the things he does is going to be plot relevant, including in New Testament, which I don't even know when the hell they're going to cover that.
Right.
Another 10 years.
I was going to say, do you guys think that they are going to do New Testament at some point? Or do you think that hinges...
That'd be crazy not to. I mean, fucking Index is a fucking cash cow. I mean, people have been waiting 9 years for season 3. People have been begging on their hands and knees, come on, we want more Index. Come on, finish the series. And because the anime is pretty decent. I mean, there's some good things about it. And it's a very fun, time passer and stuff. And especially the memes. Oh boy, the memes.
Yeah, but before we get to New Testament, we're more than likely going to get a certain scientific railgun season 3. And so,
Yay.
Yeah, that one I'm looking for.
yeah, and so Railgun isn't based off of light novels. It's
Based off a manga.
based off of manga, yeah. But there is a light novel, single light novel volume of Railgun, which they may pick up. I don't know.
Oh,
Well, I know that we've got, they're publishing Railgun in English. I think Yen Press puts that out, right?
Yeah, the manga.
Yeah, and well, I know. And we also do have Index, the light novels in English from Yen Press as well. Now, I know you guys have been keeping up with Index. I really haven't. What volume are we up to now for Index in English?
Volume 14.
Volume 14. So just like basically where this new season of anime is going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
right.
basically stopped. They actually stopped translating them for a couple of years, and then they released them the second the fucking anime came out.
Well, you know what? There's a couple of titles that Yen just for some reason seems to have massive delays on, like No Game No Life. We've been waiting for volume 7 for a year and a half. Like I don't understand. Anyway, but that's not really.
one last thing I want to point out, like, what I want to point out, it's more like something I hope they'll do. The first two season of Index were pretty light-hearted compared to the novel, which goes into more dark and serious stuff. And
Volume 15.
with the second season of and in the second season of Railgun, they made the first part really accurate and darker. So I hope they keep that vibe and that tone for season 3.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping that they actually do a really good job of animating Volume 15 because that's one of my favorites. And if you guys will watch it, you'll find out why. But it's really fucking badass.
All right, cool. And that's so okay. So that one. All right. So next up, we have a series called Ulysses, Jeanne d'Arc to Rinkin no Kishi. The story is set in the 15th century during the 100 Years' War between France and England over the succession to the French throne. Montmorency, the son of a noble, immerses himself in the studies of magic and alchemy at a royal knight training school. However, following France's crushing defeat at Agincourt, the school is dissolved. Having lost everything and now a wanted man, Montmorency, who had just become an alchemist, encounters a mysterious village girl named Jeanne. Okay. And it's got...
Spoiler alert, she dies.
Well, in history, she dies also.
Well, that's what he's saying. Come on.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear
no, he
quite
doesn't
right.
he's saying that because Joan of Arc dies. That's what he's saying. Anyway, it's got 4 volumes currently in the light novel series out in Japan. So it sounds like it's a Japanese author telling an alt history of Europe, yeah?
Essentially, they at Crunchyroll Expo, which was 2 months back.
Yeah.
They actually did a teaser for the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the reviews weren't so great.
Oh, that's too bad. Because of the story or because of the animation quality?
Kind of a bit of both. But then again, it was an early teaser, and not all the animations was finished, so it could look differently when it's...
Yeah, it was 60% finished.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, I've heard a little bit about that battle that they mentioned, and it was pretty interesting. Like, you know, they could do like a whole like medieval politics kind of thing. But there's actually not many series that really talk about like the medieval Europe or that kind of like neck of the woods or discusses those kind of themes. So I might pick this up, but you know, I kind of already know how it's going to end because, well, history books.
Because, you know, history. Unless, you know, they'll pull some kind of thing where he somehow saves her at the last moment or, you know, makes it look like she dies. But it'll be interesting to see how how they adapt it. Because, like I said, obviously, if they say that he's studying magic and alchemy, we know that this isn't exactly a faithful retelling of the 100-Year War, obviously.
Well, if you remember correctly, Joan of Arc was burnt at the stake for witchcraft, so it's possible she could have been a witch.
I know, but that's a lot more of a political thing than it was an actual. It would be.
I know
okay.
that. Like it's.
It would be. I know. It would be interesting. I wonder how it would be received if the anime actually went that route. Then also we have this one's just an OVA, and that is ReZero Memory Snow. This one is actually, I don't want to really necessarily get into the plot because it is spoilers if you haven't read ReZero, but basically it's a side story that is set after the events that Volume 4 of the light novel would cover. So if you're familiar with that, it basically is, it's after the second arc, you would say. Because, I mean, well... Do you guys consider Volume 1 to be an arc unto itself of ReZero?
Well, I'd say you can say that because, like, a lot of light novel are like the story is self-contained in one book, so you can kind of
say that, right?
Say that it's a story arc.
So I guess actually then it wouldn't be Volume 4, it would be Volume 3. So it'd be actually after the second arc, after the events at the mansion. I'll just say that. In any case, so this, of course, series, it's an isekai about a boy who is taken to another world and discovers that the only power he has is returned by death, which basically it's like if he dies, he returns to a random point in the past. He has no control over when that point is, and it's actually a really good series. Like I love that it actually plays with the whole emotional turmoil of the main character and how this messes him up so much about failing and having memories of his own rather painful and horrible deaths.
I think it's also the fact that he's a bit arrogant as well, and when he tries his best to succeed without help, he gets like slapped with reality and stuff. Like even though I'm a bit negative towards the series, I think like the final arc was, I think, pretty cool when he learns it's just like, hey, I can't do this by myself. I need help.
Yeah. Well, yes. And I think that's the whole thing, is that it does have a character progression and a character who has to learn about asking for help, about being more humble and everything else. Like, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good series. I really like the light novels for that. I haven't watched the anime.
When I watched the anime, I gave it like a 4 out of 10 because I just thought it was a bit edgy and a bit over the top. But I'll give credit where credit is due, and I say like some of the more serious parts and moments, like the whole character progression thing, I think was satisfyingly done, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you're getting murdered like 24/7. It's gonna affect your psyche in some way. I mean, even though you haven't died yet, you still go the fear and the terror.
Well, yeah,
the adrenaline
and all the pain, like the memory of the pain, right? Like he never dies, like painlessly. Like it's all terrible.
I think except for the one time he died in his sleep.
Right. Oh, yes. You're right. Yes. Except for that one and only time.
Yeah.
His only release.
Yes. I will admit the just reading the little blurb on what they have about this OVA, it sounds like it's going to be kind of light and fluffy overall. I don't think it's going to be a...
Yeah, but did all of you watch the trailer?
Yeah, I did watch the trailer.
No.
But...
the synopsis is all fluffy, and I think that's what it will be. But the trailer, it does an excellent job to bring back this kind of dark and harsh, ambience that the series is known for. And despite not it being the purpose of the OVA at all.
Well, I mean, I think they would still have to keep some of that tone to satisfy the fans, because as much as fans, I think, certainly are into the fan service aspect of the series, or the waifus and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if people really got into that series, or that it became as well liked as it was because of the fluffy moments. And I'll be honest, there aren't a lot of fluffy moments in the light novel. Well, yeah, not at all.
I don't remember any.
And speaking of lacking in light and fluffy, our next anime is Goblin Slayer.
Did someone say goblins?
Where are the goblins?
Where are the goblin
How
quests?
many goblins? What type?
Where are the goblin quests?
Kill, kill, kill.
Oh my god, you guys are just
Goblins! Kill all the goblins!
Okay.
Well, for those who don't know the series, that's what it's about, killing goblins,
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, like the title is pretty self-explanatory. It's a pure fantasy series. It is about a man who, his village was destroyed by goblins. His sister was killed by goblins, and so he has essentially dedicated himself to killing and eradicating goblins. And I mean, basically in this world, goblins are considered low tier, right? But on the flip side, they're also some of the worst in terms of for outlying farms and small villages and stuff like that. So it's kind of an interesting take, I think, sometimes on a person who's doing the small menial jobs, but they make a big impact in people's lives. But it's not as glorified as, defeating a demon lord or killing a dragon or that kind of stuff. So
Fuck
it really
dragons! I'm gonna kill goblins.
So it really is. It's
That's
a guy.
real man's work.
Well, it really is about it really is. It's about a guy doing like the grunt work of adventuring, right? But he's gotten so good at it that you can't help but kind of admire him. And I actually really like the series. It's got 8 volumes in Japan. We are getting it in English. The 5th volume was just released, so we're actually not that far behind the Japanese releases. So now, I don't know, maybe we'll talk a little bit about it, but I will say that I am interested to see how this series deals with the aspect of rape.
Goblin rape.
Yeah, goblin rape. It's true. Like, I mean, that is it. Like, essentially in this world, goblins can create nothing on their own. They can only basically, they can only even procreate by raping other races. And
They're basically Skaven from Warhammer 40k, from Warhammer Fantasy.
sure, okay, I'll take your word for it. So the light novel now. Okay, so the light novel has rape in it, but the light novel, even though it's obvious that's what's happening, the light novel isn't graphic about it.
Yep.
But
the manga, on the other hand,
the manga is very
very graphic.
And that's what I wonder is that exactly. Like when I actually saw images from the manga before I read the light novel, and I'll be honest, I kind of was really hesitant to read the light novel because I was like, damn, if that's how it's written, I'm going to find this very disturbing. But like I said, thankfully the light novels, well, it's a small mercy because, I mean, like I said, it's still obvious that it's going on. But the light novels are not graphic. They tend to sort of pan away when those kind of things happen. But
well, actually, in the light novel, those rape scenes are mainly used to amplify like the trauma that Goblin Slayer like lived when he was a kid. So it's like in an interview, like the author said that his biggest inspiration for Goblin Slayer was Batman and the Punisher. And you certainly get a vibe of that in the book. And the fact that you have those scenes recurring throughout the series is like a reminder of why he's putting so much effort into that and that alone. So
right.
I don't know how they're going to adapt it in the anime. And the other thing I wonder how they're going to adapt it is the sheer amount of reference to Dungeon and Dragon. Like there's a lot of reference, and I don't know if it's gonna make the cut.
I can tell you how they're going to adapt it. Just crack a bottle of whiskey, vodka, and play a heavy metal album. You've done. You've got it.
I mean, again, like the references, but the references aren't overt because it is its own world. It just, if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, or you're familiar with a lot of different fantasy type stuff, like there's a lot of subtle and not so subtle call outs to those kind of genres. Yes, I completely agree, but it's not like it's product placement. It's not like D&D is going to be like, we're suing you.
Not at all.
So I don't think
D&D has a character who literally dedicates his entire existence to killing goblins. Like, holy shit.
But yeah, I am very interested to see just how graphic the anime gets. I am hoping personally that it doesn't, because I think that the overall story is quite good, and again, when you're talking like a character journey, like Goblin Slayer he's one of those characters that starts off very much solo because of his situation, but eventually starts to learn to open up to people more and everything else. Like, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a good cast of characters and there's some good stuff in it. I'm afraid that if it goes too much for the glorification of the sexual violence aspect, it is going to turn a lot of people off, and honestly, rightfully so. Like, it's not, yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
One thing that I can say that can give us hope is the fact that the studio that's animating it is White Fox, which also did ReZero. So seeing how ReZero was made, I think it kind of, we don't have to worry too much about it.
Okay, so we don't think it's going to go over the...
Well,
it'll probably do what the light novel does, make it obvious that that's happening, but not show it as graphically as what we think. That would be good.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do the first, I think they're going to adapt the first 4 volumes.
I was thinking more for 3.
Well, I personally think what they're going to do is they're going to do the first 3, but then they may take some of the elements. The 4th volume is a short story volume. I think they may take some of the story content from the 4th volume and put it in chronological order in the first 3 volumes.
That would make sense.
I think that's what they'll do. Like, I don't think that, I mean, one of the short stories in the 4th volume involves 2 of the girl characters going out and trying on underwear. I guarantee you that's going to be in the anime.
That's for sure.
So the drawing looked pretty good, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're complaining about.
Like I'm just saying, like, I guarantee you that's going to be in the anime. So that's why I say that. Like, there's no way when they have such obvious chance at fan service that they're not going to go with it. Like, there's just no way.
I wonder how, like, the fact that there's no character names, like, I wonder how that'll play and how they'll kind of work around that. Like, I know there's some, like, nicknames and things like Orc Blog or Orc Bolg, whatever it is, like whatever, Cutter or something. But, like, I wonder how they'll work around that. Like, they're not going to call each other... Do they call each other... They don't call each other, like, High Elf Archer or...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
They do. Yeah.
Did it ever bother you to the fact that the servant and Face Day Night are called Saber Archer? Like, it's basically the same thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, to an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent, yeah, you're right. And I mean, it's kind of funny. Initially I was kind of like, wow, this is kind of weird, but honestly, after a while, I kind of really liked it because it was almost like, you know how when you read a fantasy novel and characters have weird names and you don't see the character for like 100 pages and all of a sudden this weird name comes up again and you're like, who the hell was that guy? And you go back and you're like, oh yeah, he was the really powerful knight. Well, now it's just powerful knight. So you're like, oh, well, okay, I know who the guy is.
Yeah, I think that's a
At least it's easy to follow, like reading, because I don't have to remember all these fucking complicated names.
Yeah, that's what I'm
like,
saying.
oh yeah, Guild Girl, she's the one that wants Goblin Slayer's dick. Cowgirl also wants his dick. Simple.
And I feel like a lot of people are like that with names in general in anime and light novels. They'll be like, yeah it's the green-haired girl, the red-haired girl, and everybody knows what you're talking about.
And that's it, exactly. Like it's almost like I said, at first I was kind of like, man, maybe I'm like, is this guy just damn lazy and doesn't want to name these characters? But then I was like, no, I think he's just kind of being like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about stupid long names. They just want to know like, oh, is there an interview where he talks about it?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
oh, okay.
He said that, the guy is a big fan and player, dungeon master of Dungeon and Dragon for multiple years. And what he tried to do is the fact that every character doesn't have a name. It's for everyone to fill out the name that they want. Like it's like you fill out the character sheet, like to personify or customize like the character to your taste.
Isn't the dude who wrote Overlord also a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons? Maybe him and the Goblin Slayer dude should get together and do a campaign.
That would be funny, actually. That would be funny. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, he is actually. You're right. He's absolutely a huge. A lot of the light novel authors that write particularly fantasy or even like the harder isekai fantasy type stuff are tabletop gamers. That seems to be like a common thing.
Hardcore tabletop gamers. They turned their own like campaign into a book series.
Well, okay, and you know what? I think we've talked about this before. I mean, one of the earliest novels that people call a light novel is Record of Lodoss War, and that's exactly what it was. It was a D&D campaign that the guy created on an island called Lodoss, and basically he did a play-by-play of what happened, and then he adapted it into a story. Like that's how he wrote Lodoss War. So you're absolutely right. That's exactly what happens. So yeah, I mean, makes you kind of think you're onto something with the whole tabletop gaming there, Gundam.
Why do you think I want you guys to play tabletop so Justus will get new ideas for stories?
Well, thank you for trying to feed my my other habits. I do appreciate that. So Goblin Slayer again. It'll be interesting to see just how it does. But yeah, again, I think that's interesting, Jean-Luc. So the author is kind of like make up your own name, but at the same time, I think from a reader's point of view, I just find it really easy. I just am really, the most unfortunate name in the whole thing is Cowgirl.
Yeah.
And it's...
That one is a weird one.
Well, I mean, I get it.
It's foreshadowing what's going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. Like, well...
You could have called her Ranch Girl.
Well, see, if they had named her like Farm Girl or something, that would have been, I think, better. But they call her Cowgirl, and then she's the one character who has the biggest boobs, and I can't. Every time I see that, I'm just like, man, why? Why,
it's
dude?
On purpose.
Why'd you do that?
It's on purpose.
Well, of course it's on.
It's
of course.
foreshadowing, man.
Okay, all right. Let's stop before this gets really off the rails. But I was just like,
I'm not even drunk yet, and this is getting off the rails.
All right, so
Record.
Speaking of going off the rails, let's go with our next series because this one is just okay. Jean-Luc, do you want to say the title of this one so I don't butcher it?
All right. So next title is Seishun Butayaro wa Banigale Senpai no Yume o Minai.
Awesome, thank you. Oh man, this is puberty syndrome, a rumored mysterious syndrome that only affects those in their puberty. For example, a bunny girl suddenly appeared in front of Sakuta Azusagawa. The bunny girl's real identity is Mai Sakurajima, a teenage celebrity who is currently an inactive high school senior. For some reason, her charming figure does not reflect in the eyes of others. In the course of revealing the mystery behind this phenomenon, Sakuta begins to explore his feelings towards Mai. Set in a city where the skies and seas shine, Sakuta unfolds the meaning behind his bizarre encounters with women with said syndrome.
Okay,
So-
let me get this straight. The only thing that happens at puberty is hormones. That's the end of it.
Well,
Well,
I'm not gonna bother like watching this one because like if I've passed like puberty like a long time ago, I won't even see the main heroine. What's the point?
but you know what? But here's
Exactly,
the thing.
man.
But this is what I don't get. Okay, so in my understanding of this, it's that nobody sees her, and so she starts wearing a bunny girl outfit, just basically like because the hell of it, right? Because nobody notices her, and then this dude is like, "Bunny girl," like, I mean. I don't like if suddenly people didn't notice me. I don't think the first thing I would be like is, you know what? I need to dress as a sexy bunny girl. Like it just.
Oh,
Yeah.
now that we mentioned the series, like I think did you mention it during the news that this one got a movie?
Oh no, I didn't because I thought since we were going to talk about the anime, I figured I would mention it while we were.
This shit's
There
getting
we
a movie.
are.
What the fuck?
Oh
Yep.
no, but here's the thing. So the series I believe is done. It has 8 volumes. So get this. So the series, the anime series, is covering the first 6 volumes, and now they've announced that they're doing a theatrical film release for volumes 7 and 8.
Holy shit! How good is this anime, man? Like, it sounds like absolute garbage. It's getting a fucking movie.
Well,
and most of it's getting adapted in anime. What the hell?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it because I mean, this has been in the top 10. I have covered it in the top 10 weekly bestsellers, but it didn't sell so many copies that I was like, oh my god, this series is like renowned or beloved or anything like that. But yet, you're telling me that they're just looking at it going, oh yeah, not only are we going to do an anime series, but we're also going to do feature film to finish it out. Like, that seems weird to me that they would decide that before they've even aired the anime.
Whoever decided this was obviously high as fuck. I
Well,
can just
maybe.
imagine them pitching it out. It's like,
I mean, maybe.
it's like,
I don't
hey
know.
guys, got this cool idea. We're gonna release this movie about an anime no one's seen before nor cares about. Don't worry about the budget. I'll handle it, guys. It's gonna be bunny girls.
Puberty.
It's gonna be puberty. Yeah, masterpiece already.
I mean,
I swear to
maybe.
God, I want to know what these guys are on because I want some.
Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. Like the only thing I can think of, and I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know how the anime industry works in Japan. Like I have a very cursory knowledge, but I mean, to me, like unless they somehow have either tested this series with people or because like that's how they work sometimes in Hollywood or whatever, right? Like they'll say, oh, a movie's tested so amazingly that we're going to greenlight the sequel before it even really hits theaters, right? Or we'll announce the sequel like after the weekend because we know it's going to do bono sales. But I've never seen an anime do that. Which so yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, I won't watch it just because if it's getting that big a release, I'm almost curious to see if it gets licensed. And I'll wait to see what Annie, Twitter, and all the rest of them have to say about it.
Like, who knows? Maybe we can actually maybe it'll throw a curveball on us. Like it's like similar to like Higurashi, where you think it's like light and fluffy, and then something just happens and it does like a complete 180. Like
Could
who
be.
knows? It could do that.
Could be. Yeah, it's not beyond possibility, that's for sure. Okay, so moving on to a series, and again, this is a series that we do have in English from Yen Press, and it is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Again, a nice title that basically tells you exactly what the series is about. A guy who gets shanked while he's rescuing a coworker and dies and is reborn into another world as a slime monster.
Not exactly the worst fate that you can have.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, like, he becomes quite powerful, because that's what happens in anime and in light novels, and basically starts creating a society of monsters.
That sounds a lot better from what I read, because I read like the first few volumes. I'm just kind of like, slime monster, don't care.
So, like, what, you read, like, the first couple volumes of the series?
No, sorry, first few chapters.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like, when you get towards, like, the end of volume 1, even, it has the whole setup, like, he's starting to basically set up a village that's inhabited by monsters. And you can tell that the series is basically kind of, I think, going to move towards a whole conflict of monsters wanting their own society that he's helping them create, and humans being like, we can't allow this to happen or else they're going to become a threat.
Well, from the manga that I've read, like it's more like there's these big demon lord that doesn't agree with his mindset. Like they want war, and he wants peace. So I think it's gonna be more like a battle with the demon lord more than with humans.
Yeah, going into the series just a little bit.
Yeah.
There isn't really that much discrimination between humans and the monsters from the village he's trying to raise. So, it's more of these people are more rational and they do see the bigger picture. It's like, hey, these are the guys we really need to worry about.
Well, I've only read the first book, so obviously I should have read more of it. So what do you guys think? Like, I mean, I think it's not a bad little setup. It's certainly coming out just before the So I'm a Spider, So What anime that's, I think, coming out next
Only thing
season.
I'm worried about the anime is, like, the voice of the main character, the slime. It's annoying.
Okay,
like
that's fair.
It's so high pitched. Like I don't think I'll be able to watch. I might be surprised, but just from the trailer, I don't know.
Might be a wait for the dub.
Yeah. Well, I don't really like watching stuff in dub, but I prefer original.
Well, once in a blue moon, the dub is better.
Yeah. I hope the blue.
Okay.
I hope the blue. Yeah. I hope the moon will be blue this time.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but the slime does, because it's a slime, it can kind of change itself a bit. So I'm wondering if the voice will change if it takes different forms.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
that's right. Oh,
like maybe. So I don't know. I don't know. But
I didn't
maybe,
think of that.
Maybe. So we'll see.
Let's hope.
We will see. All right, and so then finally we come to the series that will get so much love and so much hate all at the same time. And
Welcome to Spreading Autism Online.
And will be viewed by millions and millions of people. Sword Art Online, Alicization. This, of course, is the final published arc so far of Sword Art Online. Although there's been statements that Reiki Kawahara is apparently continuing the series. It is 10 volumes long, this arc. So it's longer than all of the previous Sword Art Online material collected. And they've announced that it's going to have 4 cores. About, what is it, like 46 episodes, I think they said it's going to get?
52.
Oh, 52?
Fuck me.
Oh, I thought it was getting like just in the low 40s. Oh, 52, okay. Then that would be more like 5 cores then.
What the hell's the budget's going to be like? Like, holy shit. There must be like...
Well, 4 cores, that's an entire year.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Oh,
52 weeks in a year, 52 episodes.
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so an episode a week. That's perfect working, yeah. What'll be interesting to see is if they manage to do it all straight ahead or if they have to take a season out. You know what I mean? Like, will they do like 2 cores back to back, then go off a season, then do the rest? Or do you think they'll just continue all the way through?
Well, since
the year of Sword Art Online.
since the light novel is already done, like, well, Alicization at least, like, they can go all the way in one shot.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, like a couple of months ago, I had a look at like what the status of Sword Art Online is, and if I just remember, they just finished Alicization arc, and they're getting into the next arc, which I don't know where the hell they're going to go from here.
Well, I mean, even like in Japan, so there's 20 volumes currently in Sword Art Online, and even volumes like 19 and 20 are actually a side story that is set during Alicization arc. So technically, there's not. So like technically, it's only up to like volume, I guess 19 that the Alicization, or volume 18 that Alicization covers. So just for people that have watched I mean, like, is it any point as to saying it's a spoiler at this point? Like, if you haven't read Sword Art or seen the anime, who are you? Like, really? What kind of anime or light novel fan are you? I don't know.
A mother's basement fan.
Well, but even if you hate it, people still watch it. Like, I hope people watched it. I don't care.
Watch it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care if you hate Sword Art Online if you've watched it. But if you hate on Sword Art Online because you think it's cool to hate on Sword Art Online, but you've never even read it or watched it, like, my respect for you has taken a bit of a dive. Anyway, Alicization, of course, is set. I kind of do like how they tied this one into the whole Gun Gale Online storyline, and which ties, of course, back into the very first Aincrad storyline. So basically, in Aincrad, we know that there was Laughing Coffin, which were the PK players.
Which were villains that weren't really expanded upon, unless you read, like, Progressive.
Right. And, yeah, I mean, you find out more about them, I think, in Gun Gale Online than you actually do in the Aincrad book, but whatever.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't really care because, we never... The conflict was never expanded upon. They just kind of just showed up and then left.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll dive more into this later during the Gun Gale podcast, so I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah. In any case, so it's revealed that one of the villains behind Death Gun and Gun Gale Online were members of Laughing Coffin in Aincrad, who have become real-life murderers, basically. And so in Alicization, essentially what happens is that we find out in Gun Gale that one of the guys that was part of the three guys who were Death Gun escaped. Well, he actually attacks Kirito in the real world and poisons him. And so Kirito, to save his life, they essentially plug him into this experimental government, military, I don't know, kind of virtual reality to essentially try and keep his brain active while his body tries to purge the poison, or it's something like that.
If I remember what happened, like, he got stabbed and, like, knocked in the head and he suffered some brain damage, and they're basically, like, putting him in this thing. So, while they, like, work on his body, he'll have something to do.
Well, I think it was that in Gun Gale, remember they were using that chemical that causes you to go into cardiac arrest or whatever?
Actually, I have a question. Why didn't that chemical come up during an autopsy?
Yeah, well, because Japan. Actually, I think they say that. Actually, no, but I think they do say the reason was because most of the bodies, since most of these people were shut-ins, they weren't found until they had decomposed and they couldn't run a proper tox scan, if I recall. I think that was how they tried to get around it.
It would still show up in their cells.
Well, you would think, but whatever. I'm not arguing biology or anything because it's light novels.
We'll do that for the podcast. We'll save it for there.
So in any case, I guess what it is that, yeah, so in order to prevent brain damage or to try and heal the brain cells that were damaged because of lack of oxygen or whatever the case is, anyway, they put them into this thing. And it's called Underworld, and it's incredibly complicated. Reiki Kawahara spends several hundred pages trying to explain what this thing is. Volume 9 is a massive info dump. I can't wait to see how that gets animated.
Well, at least this time he actually tries to make a fantasy world instead of giving us the bare skeleton, so I'll give him a pat on the back for that.
Well, it's true. It's basically like, you know what? Like, I like Alicization arc so far. The light novels, in terms of the English releases, were about halfway through it. well, actually a little closer because they've released volume 15 just recently, or 14. So we're kind of about halfway or so through it. In any case, I've liked Alicization so far, but to me, it is basically, that's just it. It's like Reiki Kawahara writes fantasy using Sword Art Online characters. Like,
Hopefully Kyoto will have more of a personality.
Don't get your hopes up too high.
I never do.
So yeah, 52 episodes. Holy jumping! Like, they only covered 8.
That takes me back to the good old days, you know, when anime had 52 episodes or 25 episodes, none of this fucking 12 episode crap.
Well, yeah, absolutely, right? Like, it was not uncommon to see anime have 48 plus episodes. Like, actually, I remember that used to be considered a season, was 24 to 26, was considered a season. And now, like, a season is just 3 months and 12 or 13 episodes, so...
Yeah, like, if you've ever seen Project Arms, I mean, they basically adapted the entire manga in, like, 2 seasons.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's and that's amazing, because it's like, oh, I could just binge watch them all. And even though, like, the anime changed a few things slightly, it's basically the same story. And it's like, wow, that was really cool. 52 episodes, I'm going to watch all this entire series.
Yeah, well, and I think that, too, there was a different philosophy when it came to anime adaptation when you go back
Quality
10 years or
versus
so.
Quantity.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even just that, but I think, too, that there was still that idea that we're not using the anime just to market the light novel. We're actually creating anime using a cool idea, but we still want it to be a satisfying experience for anime fans, you know? Like they would use elements of the light novels, but it wouldn't necessarily stick just to the light novel material. They would be like, well, what's cool for anime? And hey, the light novel's not done, so let's just tell our own story to finish it up. And you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot more thought, I think, given to the enjoyment of the anime viewer. It wasn't like, oh, haha, watch this, it'll end in the middle of the story, and now you have to go buy the book. Which...
Joke's on you, I pirate all my light novels.
Which now we can do.
So, I mean, it just seems... Well, yeah, I mean, thankfully as English viewers, that's kind of where we're at now. But it used to be like, you go back years ago, yeah, there was a lot more drive, it seems, to make the anime a satisfying experience for the viewer.
Make anime great again.
Yeah, like
hey, it works. It's manga. Yeah, there you
in
go.
Early 2000, like you have the Dot Hack franchise. Like it came with as an anime. We had a couple of games of PS2 games, but you had like a lot more where it came from. Like you have books, you have manga, light novels, and like we only got like a fraction of it. And from some of my friends who were following that series, like they kind of gave up because they couldn't follow everything that was coming out in Japan since it was not available.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing. Like, I mean, I even think back to Excel World when it first came out as an anime. Like, it just ends at the fourth volume. And I honestly thought I would never know what happened past that. So... It's certainly a nicer experience given how anime has become now, where they don't feel the need to adapt all of the manga or all of a light novel series. Like, they're just kind of like, meh, we'll do what makes sense for an arc, but the bigger story, God bless you, go find the source material. At least now we do, right? I mean, you can almost... My God, like, so much manga is available in English now. Certainly, pretty much every series, I think, that gets an anime is available in English officially. And light novels are starting to get there. So it's a lot better to be a fan now, like I said, especially because in Japan, it seems they've taken more of the idea that the anime is like an advertisement for the light novel series. So
I think it's also because like a lot of people like Japanese animation and they can make more money if they open up more to a global market. Like, screw this exclusive Japanese crap. Just let me buy it off Amazon and I'll buy it.
Well, I mean, like, definitely they're viewing anime as more of a global thing now. Like, definitely you go back 15 years ago, I think most anime companies would tell you they were making anime for Japanese audiences. and now they're making it for the world. I mean, take a look at what happened with that New Life Plus series. It got scrapped because of a reaction in China. You know, like that just goes to show you right there that anime now is like a global thing, because 15, 20 years ago, I don't think anybody would have cared what the Chinese thought about it. They would have made it because they're like, the Japanese like it, so we're going to make it for Japan.
It's Japanese nationalism, man.
So, I mean, I think it's changed a lot. I think definitely, and I mean, you know, everybody can argue whether that's for a good or a bad, but, you know, it's definitely they're viewing more international.
Yeah, we should definitely have a podcast about this in the future, but maybe not now because we're supposed to stay on topic and you have work shortly.
True enough. Well, we have actually covered all the stuff that's coming out. I think the only other thing Jean-Luc had just mentioned, but on when we were talking about planning this out, was there is Beatless, which I don't know if anybody even watched.
It's basically discount Chobits. So, fuck it.
Well, the animation looked cool.
Well, but the anime, like, we were talking about this beforehand, the anime has already been out. It was just they postponed, like, the last 2 episodes or something. Like, it's not even a full season, I don't think. I think it's only, like, the last couple episodes.
I think it's 4 episodes, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it 4? Okay. So they did what, like 8, and now they're doing 4 or something like that? Or so... it's not even a full core. It's not even a movie or an OVA. It's just basically like, we didn't have the budget to finish it, so now we do. So
that kind of reminds me of like Real Life, or was it Real Life or Real Life, the high school going back in time anime.
That's true.
And then they kind of came back for a very short second season.
Yeah, 4 episodes, like to finish where the manga finished.
Well, and they also did that recently. Oh, God, I can't remember what the heck it was called. The series about the girl who gets isekai'd to, like, this magic school, and it's based on, like, a fairy tale. Like, each character, their magical ability is based on, like, a fairy tale.
Martian something.
Yeah. Oh, Martian Maidens or something like that. Yeah. And they've done the same thing. Like, the last 2 episodes were postponed for, like, 8 months or something. Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know that much about the Japanese animation process to understand that, but
well, whenever I go to Japan, I'll make sure to try and get the 411 on that shit.
I'm good with that. Yeah. All right. So that is going to be a wrap for this episode. So what do you guys think? Like, so Bio, of all of these ones that we've talked about, I mean, we know that you're looking forward to Index, but any other ones?
Probably Goblin Slayer. I may watch that Gundam series later on. I'm especially looking forward to Index, considering that I've read most of the books of the series, and also that fucking opening. Na 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 na. Fucking lit. I want to download that shit when it comes out next month, and I have to wait. It's like, I want that single so badly.
And Jean-Luc, what about you? Is there anything here that you think you're going to check out?
Well, Goblin Slayer. Like, that's... If there's one show I'm going to watch this season, it's Goblin Slayer. Next will be Certain Magical Index. Well, while I'm kind of behind with the light novel, I'm not too sure if I'm going to postpone watching it or just go with it. After that, definitely Sword Art Online, and probably I'll check out Slime and Ulysses just to get a vibe of what's going on, if it's cool or not, and probably the Emoto one. Not sure if it's gonna be good, but at least it's like the lighter series of the season. So yeah.
All right. And Kyle, what do you think? Which ones are any definite watches on your list?
Oh, I've been waiting 10 years for Index. It's just been pain waiting for him to finally announce it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be all in on that. I want to check out Ulysses Jeanne d'Arc.
Yeah.
That one probably more out of morbid curiosity, just to see how it goes.
All right.
And then Sword Art Online because it's mandatory because you got to fill out that quota. Like, you just have to watch it. You don't have a choice at this point. And yeah, I guess I'll check out Gundam NT. You know, they have that poster with the goofy ass poses, so yeah, let's see what they do with it.
All right. And Terrence, what about you?
Yeah, probably just Goblin Slayer, definitely. I'm only through 2 volumes. I'm on volume 3. I think I'll make that my goal for October. But so the other ones, I might watch the Gundam, but I haven't watched the previous one, Unicorn. So I'll have to watch those both if I want to watch that one. And then otherwise, a lot of them I just don't want to watch them just in case the light novels come. You know, like USC's, the sister one. But yeah, and I haven't read, I have my copy of Slime on the shelf too. So I got to read that as well. Yep.
All right. Well, I will probably, I will watch Goblin Slayer because I'm pretty sure that they aren't going to cover anything beyond what I've read. I will probably watch Index because I've already seen the first 2 seasons and I don't think I'm going to get back to the light novels anyway. So I might as well at least see how the series ends. And then I'll probably watch at least what I have read of Slime and at least what I have read of Alicization. But I know that Alicization I'm going to have stuff spoiled because my wife and kid are going to watch it because they've watched all the other Sword Art Online, so I know I'm going to walk in the room and sit down and be like, oh, crap, I didn't know that happened.
It could be worse.
It could be worse, but yeah, so I'll do my best to avoid spoilers on that. I've done pretty well so far on Overlord Season 3, so we'll see how it goes with Alicization arc. At least I can watch the first half of it. You know what? We could actually just sit down and watch it live together and just go off on it. But anyway, we'll figure that out.
Well, not sure that. Yeah, we can do that. That's just something a cool idea.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So that will be the end of this episode of the Light Novel Podcast. So on our next episode of the Light Novel Podcast, we actually have a very special guest coming on. Sam Panansky of J-Novel Club, the CEO, founder, Grand High Poobah, whatever we want to call him, of J-Novel Club will be here on the podcast. And so we're going to grill him with a bunch of questions and see how that goes. He's going to actually be here in just a couple days. Otherwise, I would say, give us some of your questions and we'll ask him, but I don't think there's going to be any time. So hopefully we'll just ask what you guys would have asked. Hopefully.
And yes, viewers, we have connections of CEOs from light novel companies. We're moving up in the world.
We are moving up in the world. We are like legitimate now. We actually have special guests.
We exist.
We're like a legit. Yes, we're on the map. We're a legit light novel podcast. So that will be our next episode on the Light Novel Podcast, and it probably will be out just in a week or so. So you won't even have to wait the full usual 2 weeks plus a couple days because I take a long time to edit these podcasts. So in any case, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me tonight as always and giving us your thoughts on the upcoming anime season. It'll be interesting to see if any of these series capture the imagination of people and if it shows an increase in interest in light novels. We'll see. So anyway...
Well, you're going to need a hell of a lot of drugs to capture the imagination of the dude who writes a certain magical index.
So until next time, dear listeners, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon. Until then, bye-bye for now.
See ya.
For show notes and related links, visit lightnovelpodcast.com.